Hi there, back again, this time with what I call a budget pencil crayon showdown. There have been a few questions about my comparison of the Prismacolor Scholar student grade pencils versus the Faber Castell Polychromos pencils, as well as a request to review the Faber Castell student grade or classic pencils. So I decided to throw together a comparison video with an assortment of budget-minded color pencils. And the first ones I'm starting off with are Crayolas. This is a 24 set. They cost about $2.50 for the box. They come with a Faber Castell pencil sharpener. They have all the colors you would expect in a package. Nothing fancy here. They're round pencils. Each one's labeled with an easy to read color indicator. These ones are made in Brazil. I'm going to compare them by drawing some grapes. So the colors used were yellow, green, brown, white, magenta, purple or violet, and red. Next up is the Hilroy colored pencils. This is also a set of 24. They are hexagonal in shape, which may not appeal to everyone. I tend to prefer round pencils. I paid about $5 for this set of 24. They're made in China. There are no color labels on the pencils. There is, however, a legend on the back, and this helps you determine what each color is. The colors I have chosen are white, purple, light green, medium brown, fuchsia, and lavender. Next is the Faber Castell Classic Colored Pencils. These are also known as Art Grip Pencils. This is a set of 48. I paid about $30 for these, but you can probably find them cheaper if you get them on sale. They come in a slide-out package that contains 2 layers. The set comes in a wide variety of colors and even includes a silver and gold, which I've tested on paper and they look pretty good. They are hexagonal in shape and do not have a color label, but rather a color number. That I am not liking so much. There is a place for you to write your name on them, so if you're motivated and have a steady hand, you could easily label each one with a Sharpie. A lot of the color shades are very similar, and I did struggle in trying to pick out appropriate colors for this demo. The way the colors are arranged, you can definitely see that these are designed more for a serious artist. There doesn't appear to be a lot of wasted colors. I was unable to find a color chart for the 48 set, so I'm kind of guessing at the colors I've chosen. I selected the white, a grass green, a brown, what I believe to be deft blue, which was the darkest shade of purple I could find, and one of the many reds and a medium purple. I did find myself adjusting my picks on the red and purple to better suit my reference photo. These pencils were made in Indonesia. Lastly is the Prismacolor Scholar pencils. I've done reviews on these, which you can look at for more details. The price of these pencils are getting down to $20 a set when on sale. This is a 60 package set. They're made in Mexico, wax-based. I use the color grip side of my Faber Castell Trio sharpener when working with Prismacolor to prevent the leads from breaking. The colors I've selected are white, raw umber, pale green, crimson lake, purple, and magenta. I've started with the Prismacolor Scholar pencils. I'm drawing a single purple grape using Strathmore 300 series drawing paper. This is a medium surface 70-pound paper, which is inexpensive enough to be valid for a budget pencil crayon comparison. The paper is also durable enough to handle any abuse the pencils can throw at it. I start with magenta for my lightest tone, overlay crimson, red, and finally purple. I've used the pale green and raw umber for the stem. I apply a second layer of magenta, crimson, red, and purple and use the white to blend the colors. The Scholar pencils go on quite smoothly and blend reasonably well. No real problems, but the purple can't produce dark enough tones to match the reference. I also notice a large crack running the length of the white pencil. This doesn't bode well for a pencil that is used to blend and burnish. This is typical of quality issues associated with Prismacolor pencils. The next one is done using the Crayola pencil crayons. I recently picked up a set for $2 just to see what they were like. I did a quick drawing of Trent Reznor of 9-inch nails and was really impressed with the pencils. They go on fairly smoothly, not as smooth as the Prismacolor Scholar pencils, but they still have a nice feel to them. There's a good selection of colors and they're easy to figure out. The pencils don't break and they sharpen nicely. The only major drawbacks is that it's hard to create really intense colors. They don't layer as well as the more expensive pencils, and they don't blend as well. Here I have layered the red, magenta, and purple a couple of times, then used the white to lighten areas and blend. Unlike Scholar or Premier white pencils, you really need to keep the Crayola white quite sharp to have any lightening effect. Next was the Hilroy pencils. This is or was a Canadian brand maker of stationery. I got this set for just under $5. I was expecting similar performance as the Crayola pencils. They were not up to the task. Firstly, they are a hexagonal shape that I tend not to like. They're also not labeled, but the legend on the back of the box does give enough information to figure things out. I started with the Fuchsia. The pencils felt very dry, almost as if you were working with wood and sandpaper. The hard lead seemed to crumble on the paper and didn't adhere very well. The lavender had little to no effect, so I skipped right to the purple. The purple did darken things up a bit, but the overall result was unimpressive. I found if you pressed a lot harder, you could get slightly darker tones, but you risked damaging the paper in the process. Most things I would have a tendency to give another try, or find a situation where they might be useful. Not the case here. The end result is a fuzzy-looking grape on paper that looks like it suffered through the process. Last was the Faber Castell Classic pencils. Having used the Faber Castell Polychromos pencils, I was hoping that these may be a hidden gem. The results were mixed. I was already put off with the hexagonal shape and the lack of color labels. Seriously, if you go to the effort to put naming labels, company labels, color numbering scheme, why not add the actual color as well? The pencils did, however, go down fairly smoothly. Again, not as smooth as the Prismacolor, more along the lines of the Crayola. I started from light to dark. I had to switch out my medium purple with something a little darker. I finished with the deft blue, which looks more like a purple than a blue to me, but I found the colors layered quite nicely, very similar to the Polychromos. The most appealing result was I found myself taking a little more effort to improve the final product. This wasn't to justify the purchase, but more because the pencils were allowing me to add more layers. I wasn't being limited by the waxiness of the Prismacolors or the limitations of the Crayola and Hilroy pencils. I suspect The Faber Castell Classic pencils could be combined with a few Prismacolor Premier pencils, notably the black and white, to be used for bigger projects. So I will add that to my list. With the 4 budget grade demos complete, I thought I would add one more just for comparison purposes. The Faber Castell Polychromos set of 60 costs about $120. So you could buy 50 sets of Crayolas, 25 sets of Hilroy, although I'm not sure why anyone would want to do this unless they want to use them for kindling, 6 sets of Scholar pencils, and 4 sets of Faber Castell pencils for the same price as the Polychromos set. Now, not a fair comparison. You are getting more pencils in the set of 60 and often more colors that are useful, but the artist grade pencils are definitely a financial burden. So how do they compare? I use the raw umber, leaf green, white, pink Madder Lake, scarlet red, magenta, and mauve. They go down smoothly. You can layer them over and over, and they blend quite nice. As you can see, the final result with the Polychromos has more intense colors and a lot more depth than the budget grade or student grade pencils. In conclusion, I brought in 3 independent judges to select their preferred colored pencil grapes. It was almost unanimous, with the Faber Castell Classic being chosen to be the best by 2 of 3 judges. The 3rd judge selected the Prismacolor Scholar grape. It was unanimous that the Hilroy got the Rubbish Award. Prismacolor Scholar came in 2nd, with the Crayolas a close 3rd. One noticeable trend was that the older the judge, the less they preferred the Prismacolor Scholar grape. The Polychromos grape was excluded from the judging. My final comments: if I was on a budget, wasn't doing a lot of blending or layering, I would definitely go with the Crayolas. That's all you really need. If I was an amateur artist who's just playing around with drawing or has a wide variety of subject matter like manga, comics, portraits, landscapes, then I'd probably choose the Prismacolor Scholar. Maybe even somebody who's just learning to blend and layer. If I was serious about art, but still on a budget, I would put my focus more towards the Faber Castell Classic pencils. I would probably supplement them with other pencils though. I personally am curious to see how they work with the Polychromos. I find the Polychromos can be too intense with some colors, like medium flesh. The classic pencils have a flesh color that falls between the light and medium flesh. There's also a tan color that is lighter than the burnt ochre, which I think would be very useful. Also, if there's any other budget grade pencils that you'd like to see added to this list, just let me know. I'll see if I can pick them up, try them out, and see how well they compare. That's all for now. I should be back within a week with another drawing.